Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Vintage Global Startup Sessions. If we haven't met yet, my name is Orly, and I am a Vintage partner. We are a global investment firm managing $2 billion with investments in the United States, Europe, and Israel. And we invest in three strategies: fund of funds, secondary funds, and co-invest direct funds, where we invest together with funds in our network. This means that we have equity exposure to approximately 2,000 technology startups and scale-ups, and we have a database with data from about 6,500 companies in these three geographies. Our value-added service team provides free service with which we help corporate teams and executives connect with the best matching startups to your pain points. It's essentially a free scouting service that supports you in your digital journey. And this way we are helpful to you, to the startups, to our funds, and we create a win-win-win. Today's topic is e-commerce. And
Orly, sorry, we can't see your slides.
Okay, thank you. I will share it again. Can you see my slide now?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome, thanks. So back to today's topic. We're going to talk about e-commerce, and needless to say, the speed of e-commerce adoption has been accelerated significantly during COVID-19. And I'll take a moment here to pause and say that we are witnesses to unprecedented times in terms of human health and human lives. And first and foremost, our thoughts and hearts are with everyone that is affected. And that is why e-commerce is so important now. It is oftentimes now not only good to have, but must have during this period. And we have seen cases where e-commerce contributed not only to people's happiness and convenience, but also to their health and vitality. For example, by ordering drugs, medical aid, baby food, diapers, and so on. We've all seen the numbers. In China, e-commerce increased 20%, in the US, 49%, in Italy, 81%. And actually, all of you are here because you all know that. The question is, what makes e-commerce successful, and how can you leverage on the best tools out there that create that success? What are the actions that you can take as a firm to bring fast impact to your e-commerce success? Some of the ingredients that contribute to that success are here. Number one, fast response to consumer sentiment and understanding that consumer sentiment. As we have seen, that sentiment has changed several times in the past few weeks as a result of changing events. We have seen surprise, shock, negative consumer sentiment, then hope, positive, and now the sentiment is changing a little bit to the downside again. Number two, outstanding user experience. And that can be created by, for example, first, personalizing the user experience. The more personalized, the better. Second, creating coherent and efficient omnichannel experiences across devices. And third, impeccable service and support on the back end of the purchase. Number three, the third ingredient is actually called a complete consumer experience. You know, we're all used to the Amazon experience that we now wish to buy all the things we want in one place. So how do you create that if you as a company do not manufacture all of the items that consumers need? And number four is social and marketing. So critical to current times. How do you leverage social channels and marketing to increase e-commerce activity and success? So for that, we draw to you 6 fantastic startups, or actually scale-ups, that each touches upon another ingredient of success and can all help you build your steps towards a successful e-commerce platform. And without further ado, I would like to present the startups. Here are the 6 that we'll present today. Intellimise automatically optimizes mobile and desktop websites to deliver more revenue and more customers by automatically personalizing the full digital experience for each unique visitor in the moment. Then we will meet Yotpo, a commerce marketing cloud with the most advanced solution for customer reviews, visual marketing, loyalty, and referrals. And then we will meet Miracle, that provides the technology and expertise to launch an online B2B or B2C marketplace. Then we will meet Fabric Commerce, that helps companies accelerate growth across all channels with the most flexible and scalable commerce platform. And then we will meet BounceX, an international marketing technology solution that brings a logged-in experience to logged-out website visitors across all their devices. And then we will meet Customer, a SaaS service CRM platform. And just a few housekeeping rules. If you are a startup, you are muted throughout the presentation, or please keep yourselves on mute. If you are participants, corporate participants, you are muted throughout the presentation at the moment. And if you have any questions for the startups, please feel free to use the Q&A feature at the Zoom. It's actually located at the panel of your Zoom. You can choose actually to stay anonymous when you ask the questions, and I will be taking your questions and ask the startups at the end of every session. We would love to introduce you to all of these startups. This is one of our KPIs. If you are interested in an introduction, please feel free to email me. You can see my email on the screen, and we would be absolutely thrilled to introduce you to any of them. And without further ado, we will start with Intellimise. And Guy, I will let you share your screen. Guy is coming to us from New York, right?
From San Francisco.
From San Francisco, sorry, yes. Feel free to share your screen, Guy.
Sounds great. Can you see it all right, Orly and team?
Yes, we can see it perfectly.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. My name's Guy Yaleef. I'm co-founder and CEO of Intellimise. We automatically optimize websites. We personalize them for each unique visitor in the moment to drive more revenue, more customers, and more leads to sales. I'm a former airplane designer who spent 10 years in product and 10 years in marketing before starting the company. And my co-founders were the 2 most senior engineers leading a several hundred-person team that used machine learning to personalize the Yahoo homepage for more than half a decade when it was the most popular page on the internet. We serve large e-commerce companies such as Unilever's D2C business, several of their peers around the world, and Laserway. How are we helping our customers grow their e-commerce business? Let me talk you through an example. Dermalogica sells through stores, through digital partners, and direct to consumers. And we helped Aurélien Lis, their CEO, a Unilever prestige brand company, to improve the lift in his direct to consumer shopping cart metrics by 100%. He saw enough success that he rolled us out to 6 global regions, and we're continuing to expand. We helped his team generate these results by enabling them to try 466 revenue generating ideas in 5 months with minimal resource impact to his team. Testing these ideas literally would have taken them decades to do with traditional A/B testing. We were also able to help them share optimization best practices and winning ideas around the world. And that helped his global teams materially accelerate their growth and helped smaller teams benefit from the learnings of larger teams in larger markets. We'd love the opportunity to generate similar results for your business. And I'm going to take the next 5 minutes to explain how we can with our unique solution called predictive personalization. As you know, we as marketers spend $100 billion a year trying to acquire new customers. We interact with prospects throughout the funnel via ads, email, websites, apps, and social media. And unfortunately, we fail most of the time. Why? The prospect journey is typically the same for everyone outside of paid ads. We as marketers are widely guilty of treating everyone the same in almost all of our interactions, regardless of whether they're a first-time visitor, somebody about to buy, or an existing customer. 98% of prospects didn't see what they needed to see in the moment to become a customer, and they don't end up converting. We've solved for that. We solve this problem through a concept called predictive personalization. We enable you to deliver the best web experience to each unique visitor in the moment. For example, if Orly and I showed up at Dermalogica.com right now, we might see two different experiences. If Orly showed up again a week later, she might again see something different, either because she took some action or because the machine learning, which is updating itself every few minutes, has learned and can do a better job of predicting human behavior. This isn't what you've seen with most other personalization approaches. It's not rules-based. It's not force-fitting visitors into a one-size-fits-all experience for their persona or category. This is dynamic, one-to-one e-commerce marketing in the moment at scale, and that makes this solution unique. How does it work? With Intellimize, you run many versions of your website in parallel. We want your team to try out all of your ideas that they believe will increase engagement and conversions. We enable your teams to run all the combinations of their ideas in parallel, and then we use machine learning to predict which experiences will maximize revenue for each unique visitor. We're not randomly giving each visitor an experience. This is true one-to-one machine learning-based personalization and optimization. For example, Orly might see version 24 of a page because that's the one that's predicted to result in the highest probability of conversion for her. Danielle, also at Vintage, might see page 37 because that one's predicted to result in highest conversion for her. And I might see version 51. It's not a one-size-fits-all experience for everybody. It's a winner for each unique visitor. And even better, our machine learning is updating itself, learning more about human behavior every few minutes, automatically and continuously improving the predictions and adjusting to the never-ending changes in visitor behavior. This continuous learning is particularly useful for promos, which A/B testing takes too long to serve. And as Orly talked about earlier, it's particularly helpful during these times when consumer behavior is changing so rapidly. To give you a sense of how this can drive more impact, I'll compare some different experimentation and personalization approaches. Starting at the lower left, A/B testing is probably familiar to most of us. We set up a 50-50 traffic split between our existing website and a new idea. And when we see a difference in performance, we bake the winner into the website. This is great because it's data-driven marketing, but it's difficult because we pick the same experience for everyone forever. This is like saying all men on this call have to wear size 43 shoes from the day they're born to the day they die, because that's the average shoe size for men. It sounds silly when we talk about shoes, but we do it all the time with A/B tests. Okay, you can do one step better and test multiple elements on the page at the same time with multivariate testing. This is great because you have a better global winner, but it's still the same experience for everyone forever. It's like finding the right combination of sole, laces, and decorations for your shoe, but you still have one size 43 shoe for men to wear their entire lives. Now, many of us marketers then say, look, we don't want to treat everyone the same. And we turn to rules-based personalization where we define if this, then that rules. We might say, show new visitors our all-time bestsellers. Show existing customers our newest items. This is better because we're not treating everyone the same, but it's still the same answer forever. And we as marketers tend to top out at a few tens of rules because we have to create and maintain every one of them. The next step up is to personalize for each individual visitor. This takes rules-based personalization to its theoretical limit with a segment size of 1. It's really hard to do manually, but now everyone gets their own experience. However, it's still one experience forever for each individual. The final step up is dynamic personalization, which personalizes for each unique visitor in the moment, automatically adjusting to changes in visitor behavior over time. So as you change your marketing efforts and attract different visitors who behave differently, your website will automatically adjust to each unique individual when you use dynamic personalization. So completing the metaphor, now we each get our own shoe that changes over time as we grow, and our tastes and foot size change, just like in real life. And it turns out that meeting your prospects and customers where they are in their life cycle with you can have a big impact. Our average customer over the last 2 years tried 177 different ideas. Had they used A/B testing to try those ideas, it would have taken them a quarter century, 25 years, to test those ideas given their traffic levels. But we didn't test those 177 ideas. We optimized across the 78 million possible combinations of those ideas in parallel. That enabled our customers to experience lift in 88% of the campaigns they ran with us. Our customers didn't magically overnight become better at creating winning ideas. In fact, not all those ideas worked for everybody in roughly the same proportion as before they used Intellimise. But with our system, the winning ideas were automatically shown more often. The losing ideas were starved of traffic, and the mediocre ideas, they were turned into winners by showing them to the right audience. The net result? Across all of our customers, everyone, not a cherry-picked subset, they averaged 46% lift in the metrics that they defined as important to their business over the last 2 years. What would that do for your business? We'd love to help your teams do more with the traffic they worked so hard to drive to your website. We now have time for questions. And Vintage, thank you for bringing us together.
Guy, thank you so very much. This is super interesting. One question, if I may ask you, is what type of data are you using to kind of personalize the experience?
We purposely built a system that can use any data it can see. We typically get data in 3 different buckets. One is contextual data, which typically we can see on our own. You know, where are they, time of day, day of week, what kind of device are they on? Then there's behavioral data, which also we can see on our own without our customers needing to do anything. You know, have they bought before? What did they buy? What categories did they look at? Then our customers often share additional historical or demographic data, either first or third party with us. There are multiple ways they can get that data to us. Most of that 46% came without them doing heavy lifting to give us data. But if you do, our machine learning will figure out, hey, is there a predictive signal in this? Will this help us do a better job of showing the right experiences to each visitor to maximize cart completion and maximize cart size?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I have some more questions for you from our audience. How are you better than competitors such as Dynamic Yield?
So we have seen them and others say, hey, I'm using machine learning. And I believe their approach is to say, look, I'm gonna use machine learning to recommend a rule. So I, the marketer, have to do all the work, right? The rule is recommended to me, but I then put the rule in place. And that rule is better than showing the same thing to everybody, but it's not adjusting over time. It's not down to the individual. And so you get some lift, but it's more coarse grained than dynamically personalizing to each unique visitor. And it won't help you when you're running your promo. It won't help you when your visitor behavior is changing as rapidly as it is right now.
Thank you. And one more question live from the audience. Hi, thank you for an interesting presentation. Who are your main competitors?
The people we run into the most in market are Optimizely and Google Optimize. You know, A/B testing is, to our surprise, only used on 40% of the top 100,000 websites out there. And folks that are doing that have said, hey, look, I believe in data-driven marketing. I'm moving beyond intuition and letting my prospects and customers guide the experiences I give them. That's a great start. This then, as we saw in the stair steps, help people create much better experiences and drive more revenue.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Guy. Really appreciate your time. And everybody, all our participants, if you want an introduction to Guy, I would love to do that for you. Feel free to email me and I will introduce by email.
Thanks for having me, Orly. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. So we are moving to our next presenter. We have Yotpo. So we have Mike from Yotpo, and Mike is coming to us from New York. Mike, feel free to share your screen.
Great, I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining today. Here, I will share my screen and get started. So everybody could see my screen now, assuming so.
Yes.
Quick introduction. my name is Michael Dash. I've been with Yapo now almost 4 years. Prior to joining Yapo, I was actually one of their first customers. So I built and ran my own e-commerce company, scaled it pretty successfully, tested Yapo really, really early on when there were about 4 or 5 people in the company, watched them scale. They would beta test stuff on me. I was actually their first marketing case study. My company was acquired a few years ago. So after the acquisition, they asked me to come on board and build the enterprise team here at Yapo. So been doing that successfully for the past 4 years. We've grown really quickly, and I'll talk about what we do right now. So Yapo is all about creating a magical experience for customers. What we want to do, in short, is bring the offline experience online. We want to be in front of your customers, where your customers are, and we want to interact with them with a variety of tools. So Yapo, really quick, from the 100,000 foot view, we are an e-commerce marketing platform. We integrate with all the leading e-commerce marketing softwares out there: Shopify, Commerce Cloud, Magento. We're premier partners with all, and in all generic systems that exist. Our 5 core key products are ratings and reviews, visual UGC, customer loyalty, referral programs, and SMS marketing. We've got over 7,000 customers today, growing really, really quickly in the space. Really cut our teeth in the direct-to-consumer market, working with companies such as Glossier, Kylie Cosmetics, Movement, Untuckit, Chubbies, Allbirds, kind of the darlings in the space who you see today. So we've kind of grown from the online experience and the D2C. We're starting to venture out now to work with larger enterprise companies such as Steve Madden, Patagonia, Esurance, Avon, IKEA. The list goes on and on. So what does Yapo do, and what does Yapo do unique? So Yapo started in the reviews and ratings space. The way in which we captured reviews and leverage reviews was different than anybody else in the space. And because of that innovation, we basically scaled the platform to be able to work with essentially any one of these acquisition or retention marketing funnels, and share the data across all these funnels to really capture the most value out of every consumer interaction that's happening on or off of your website. So visual UGC. This is essentially why someone would visit your website and be inspired by your website. You're going to be shown galleries. You're going to see how people are actually using the product, what people look like in real life using the product, and what people think of your brand. It's really inspirational. We see that people interact with UGC converted at a 24% higher rate than those that don't on a website. Now, once they've actually purchased the product from you, we want to understand how they felt about that product, how they felt about your brand. We want to understand what they're saying, how people are using it. We want to analyze that in a really, really deep way. So we use machine learning and natural language processing to read through the sentiment of each sentence structure that's provided within a review. What we can then do is provide the consumer who's looking at the specific product that is looking to be purchased a very, very personalized consumer experience, similar to an Amazon experience, by associating keywords that might be relevant to them for fast finding. Customer loyalty. This is a really, really important space to be in these days. So why is loyalty so important? Now, you've spent all this money to acquire a customer, but if you're not retaining them over the lifetime, your CPA on every single interaction with those new customers is going up and up and up. And everybody knows the cost of acquisition on Google and Facebook is astronomical these days. So if you're not maximizing the return on each and every customer interaction, you're losing out on a potential second, third, fourth, or fifth purchase. Referrals is, again, an acquisition source for a retained customer. So I have my customer, I know that they're happy because I've possibly received a positive review request from them. There's other interactions that they're facing with me that could tell them, or it could tell me as a consumer brand, that my customers are happy. I want to incentivize them to come back to me and tell their friends and family to come back to me as well. And then with the newest addition of SMS marketing to the platform, we want to be able to tap into the consumer experience offline and directly on their phone through SMS and MMS. So essentially what Yapo is providing is a full tool to understand and interact with your customer. We're essentially creating this magical customer journey at every point of the consumer experience with your brand and engaging with them in order to maximize customer lifetime value, conversion rate increase, repeat purchases, and analyzing their interactions with you at scale. So rather than go through this entire deck, which I think would bore basically everybody here, what I'm going to do quickly is actually show you how some of our customers use this in real life. So what we're looking at right now is Patagonia's website. They've collected about 105 reviews on this jacket. And now when I click into those reviews as a consumer, I don't really want to read through 105 reviews. I want to read through the reviews that are relevant to me. So I want to know if I'm, 5'4", how this fits. And I've actually categorized that down to 29 reviews. I also want to know what the quality is like of this jacket. So I could drill down, or the fit, into specifics about what people are talking about in an actual review to get the content that's relevant to me, to make a consumer be able to read through that content, digest it really quickly, and convert on the website. Now, as far as the UGC goes, I want to inspire someone. Now, maybe they don't know what they want to purchase, but they know they want to purchase from my brand, or they think they do. Well, I can offer them galleries to see how this looks on other people in real life. Now, if they're looking through that gallery and they really like this product, they can click Shop Now and be taken to a PDP page that has this product. Now, once they get to that PDP page, again, they can drill down on the reviews, find what's relevant to them. I want to know, I have a narrow foot. I want to know how it fits on my narrow foot so I can get the content that I need really, really quickly. Now, if you want to combine them on a PDP page, now here's a small snippet of the 3,000 plus reviews we've collected on this product. I could read the most popular ones here, or I can then scroll down and read all of them as they exist here. I can filter them down based on how I, as a consumer, want to read. Now, in beauty, it could be a bit different from fashion. That could be different than electronics. And you can decide all of these filters and conveniences for a specific consumer, right? So I want to know how it works with oily skin, since my skin is oily, and I want to see it on the consumer who's actually purchased this product. I can then create these galleries that exist from people who have submitted through Instagram, but also people who have actually submitted in the reviews themselves. So this gives the consumer the full 360 view of how others are actually engaging with your brand and your product. Now, when it comes to rewards and bringing people back, you can set up your rewards and loyalty program however you'd like. Now, this is one that I absolutely love because Third Love as a brand is non-discount. They don't want to say points for purchase, how most loyalty programs exist in this space. So what they want to do is create VIP tiers to make people actually more devoted and loyal to a specific brand. And then they know what their customer lifetime value spend thresholds are. So we help drive that one extra purchase to get them into the next bucket by offering them specific benefits exclusive to each VIP tier that interact with the brand. So it makes all of these brand interactions really, really valuable and gives people an incentive to come back to the brand, repurchase a specific product, and then become a customer advocate. And then similarly, if they want to share, you give them the easy way to share this with one of their friends or family. You can actually have them use Facebook Messenger, tweet it, Facebook share it, copy it, and then you send them the ability to actually purchase a product from you and then gain reward from actually receiving that product as well. Now, others like to go about a rewards program that has a little bit more flexibility rather than a strategic VIP tier, and you can give discounts or redeemable items, points for purchase, specific ways to redeem. So if I want to like on Facebook and I want to grow my Facebook audience and follow on Instagram, if I want to push a specific collection, right? So Chubbies as the brand wants to push a specific shorts collection that they've pushed out. or I want to incentivize someone on their birthday to engage more on their brand. You can do that with the platform. The platform is fully flexible and gives you the ability to incentivize for any specific item or attribute that you can imagine you want to incentivize for to gain more engagement with your brand and your company's product. So the platform as a whole is built to use all of these features and functionality together. So essentially what we're doing is we're consolidating many different point solutions that exist in the market: reviews, UGC, loyalty, referrals, SMS marketing. A lot of companies use 5 or 6 different providers in the space to gain these. By using Yapo, what we're allowing you to do is consolidate your tech stack, bring it all in-house under one vendor, share the data and the integrations between all of these different platforms, and get a lot more value out of one specific vendor versus 6 that are completely disjointed. That's Yapo as a whole. I'd open it up to everybody for questions and comments.
Perfect, Mike. Thank you so much. Let me ask you 2 questions. So in the audience, we have, not only consumer packaged goods and so on. We have some banks and some telecom companies, and I know that you guys have customers in these areas. Could you explain a little bit about how that works with such industries? And just for the audience, I will mention if somebody is not familiar with UGC, that's user generated content.
Oh,
and so yeah, back to you, Mike, on let's say banks, telecom companies, insurance companies.
Absolutely. So yes, we work with everybody from Esurance, Berkshire Hathaway, Chubb Insurance, financial services companies, banks, etc. The way in which they'll leverage UGC, so user-generated content as we're calling it, right, is in the form usually of reviews. They want brand engagement and they want to own the conversation online. Now, Esurance is a great example of this. Esurance came to us with an issue of not owning the consumer voice online. So when you typed in Esurance reviews into Google, the first thing to come up were Better Business Bureau complaints. The website Pissed Off Consumer. There's many websites that existed out there for people to go and voice their concern with negative experience. Now, insurance, banking, telecom, people don't think of glorious experiences when they think of these companies. They only think about the problems they have with them. And that's because these brands that exist out there don't own the voice of the consumer. So you're not asking for feedback. Now, Esurance, when they switched over to us and started asking their consumers how they've experienced their services, they found overwhelmingly over 75% of them had a positive experience and shared that experience with Esurance. Now, we give them the ability to create essentially what we call an SEO page on their website to service all of this content into Google. So now if you search Esurance reviews, the first page to come up in organic and ads is Esurance's own website about their own consumers rating their experiences with Esurance. So they own the consumer voice that exists online. They want to drive people to their website rather than other people's websites.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's very helpful. In concern of time, I will not ask the second question now, but we will move to the third startup. Thank you so much, Mike, for presenting Yotpo. If anybody wants an introduction to Mike and to Yotpo, please email me. I'd love to do that. And our third startup is Miracle. Brandon is joining us from Italy. Welcome, Brandon, and feel free to take over.
Thank you, Orly, and good morning or good evening, depending on where in the world everybody is located. So my name is Brendan Walsh. I am the EMEA Vice President for Miracle. Miracle are a very fast-growing French software as a service company who essentially provide marketplace technology for customers who are innovating within the platform economy. So what is a marketplace? Essentially, a marketplace is an online platform where you as the operator would host and secure the transactions of products and services between your customers and also your third-party sellers. So most people have got a different concept of what a true marketplace model looks like versus dropship models. I think most people are familiar with Amazon. We're currently powering the marketplaces for many B2C and B2B type organization. And this is an incredibly fast growing space, but it does involve a pretty significant business model transformation. So let me just kind of describe a little bit around the opportunity itself or the marketplace imperative. So I think globally, you know, most people are familiar with what we call the barbarians. So your Alibabas, your Amazons of this world, your WeChats. These are essentially marketplaces that really are fueling the growth of e-commerce globally. So we're seeing the marketplace share within e-commerce accelerate. We've got a very advanced, mature market in Asia. We can see the US is catching up on those metrics pretty fast. And we see a bit of a laggard in terms of Europe, but that's that's changing very, very quickly today. So we look at the marketplace growth is currently happening at almost a 2.5x rate faster than the traditional e-commerce wholesale. So in terms of the opportunity, I think the results are in. Years ago, we used to talk about the advent of marketplaces and the springtime of marketplaces, but we're absolutely certain that we are now in the summer of marketplaces today. So what's driving this growth, right? What's driving this exponential growth that people are seeing with marketplace models? I think across any particular platform, what's really vital towards the success of any potential marketplace is really how you leverage your brand and how you interact with your customers and how you leverage your ecosystem to drive that revenue opportunity between your partners, your distributors, your frenemies, and exactly what your customers are trying to transact on online. So we see three particular phases within any kind of marketplace life cycle. There's an early ramp up phase. This tends to be a particularly brutal part of any kind of business model transformation. There's a lot of organizational change and shift that goes on, but very quickly, and once you get the model right, you start to benefit from the exponential growth, and then obviously the compound annual growth rates that we see among a lot of our kind of top line customers today. So within Miracle's data centers, we're incredibly fortunate. We're seeing this very similar trend across the vast majority of our customers, be they B2C and also more recently in that B2B space. So what I'd like to do today, I'd like to describe some stories around typically what we see in terms of marketplace revolutions. And there's one really, really hot story right now. And this is something that received a lot of press globally. But with the rise and the onset of COVID-19, Miracle, because we're part of the next 40 companies in France, which are the hyper-growth SaaS companies, we've obviously got some pretty good connection with the French government. And way back in mid-March, we took a call from the French Secretary of State for the Digital Economy. And they realized they had a major issue. And that issue essentially was the concept of arming frontline health workers with personal protective equipment. So the French health system is a very decentralized model. So hospitals, health agencies, healthcare homes, respite institutions, regional organizations, all kind of transact and buy separately compared to, for example, the UK model of the NHS. So the French government recognized this and they realized that they needed to connect the providers and the manufacturers of personal protective equipment and distributors and people who were looking to help with all of these kind of various agencies. So they recognized the opportunity around a marketplace and they put in a phone call to our CEO, Philippe. We accepted the challenge, but it was a pretty daunting episode to take on. Now, 8 weeks in, let me just share some of the results of this project because it's quite a fascinating project. So technically, it took us 37 hours to stand up the technology. Now, anyone with any kind of experience understands that the tech is always the easy part. I can promise that our customer success team behind the scenes, you know, the things of like business logic and kind of managing the seller onboarding and client onboarding within a marketplace requires a lot of reviews, particularly for a French government-run organization. So we had to make sure, you know, that we were vetting every organization who was participating on the actual platform. But technically it took us under 2 days to stand up the platform. We've now onboarded over 6,500 agencies. So these are, initially we started with the health sector. So these are hospitals, healthcare homes, etc. And that was phase one. We very quickly expanded into other organizations who had frontline health workers who were looking to access the all-important personal protective equipment. We've onboarded over 200 sellers of this equipment. A lot of the equipment has been sold at cost price or pro bono, as this was a tech for good project. So it's something that that there was a lot of curation around, we'll say. But in terms of the stats, this is a great demonstration of really the art of the possible within a marketplace model. We've shipped over 800,000 liters of hand sanitizer, well over 20 million masks sold. I think at last count, we're over 40 million items shipped. But given that we launched the platform in mid to late March, since April 13th, we've actually been transacting at over 1 million euro per day. So this marketplace initiative, this has generated over 80 million euro of gross merchandise volume. And that's the actual transactions going through the platform. So a really nice demonstration of strong leadership, the right resources, and the art of the possible as people look at new kind of revenue monetization engines within their organization. That's one example. So we've also got some other really kind of helpful examples in the B2C space. So this is Helena Helmerson. Helena has been promoted to CEO of H&M organization back in January. Helena's two main objectives are really kind of fulfilled around sustainability and platforms. And Helena, a couple of years back, she launched a new innovation team within H&M. They branded it Afound. And they wanted to launch a marketplace model and really kind of use it as a testing environment for the organization with really no great expectations around how the marketplace model would actually work out for H&M. Since her promotion, she's gone online saying, look, this platform model is the future. What has kind of brought us such great traditional success within H&M doesn't necessarily set us up for success in the next 15 years. I think there's a general recognition around the high street versus digital platforms. But it's a very kind of straightforward model within H&M. So Afound is the brand. Adidas is a seller that they would have onboarded. And in a very typical e-commerce type transaction, they want to be clearly transparent with their customers. It's sold by Adidas, it's fulfilled by Adidas, but it's hosted on a H&M/Afound marketplace platform. So this is a very straightforward B2C type example. I think most people will align this with their experience of Amazon and similar platforms. But this same marketplace revolution, this is expanding rapidly within the B2B territory. And we have some amazing clients within the B2B space today. And if you think of a company like Tetra Pak, right, the traditional business models have come under attack from new kind of low-cost providers situated in different areas of the globe. So Tetra Pak realized that they need to start monetizing the customer experience and not just have a kind of stack them high, sell them cheap type mentality. So very similar to the B2C example, because those kind of purchasing patterns are now being reflected in the B2B world. They realize is that in order to leverage their ecosystem and really enhance the customer experience, they wanted a range extension or endless aisle offer for their customers. So essentially that they could offer more products, but they could also sell more and transact more via marketplace model. But most importantly, on the Tetra Pak marketplace, they wanted to learn more about their customers. So typically, what products and services are they interacting with beyond the typical Tetra Pak transactions? So this is a real kind of healthy testing bed for Tetra Pak, where they think about product innovations, potential M&A strategies, where they can easily onboard sellers from these organizations and really understand how their customers are interacting with them. And again, very similar example to the B2C model. This is a B2B marketplace, a little bit less sophisticated, right? You can see first product is sold by Tetra Pak. Some products are sold by multiple sellers, and others may have a clearly defined seller on the actual marketplace itself. So I just wanted to kind of give those three examples. These are three very different revolutions, but essentially it's the same business model. It's a marketplace business model. It's leveraging your brand, it's leveraging your ecosystem to drive a new revenue and also customer experience. It's essentially the same technology in that it's Miracle Marketplace, and conveniently, it's the same Miracle customer success teams working across all of these types of projects. So just a little bit around Miracle. We're obviously, I did mention earlier, we're a French headquartered company. We're growing really fast. Last year we grew at almost 80% year over year. Our GMV metrics are incredible behind the scenes. So we're seeing the rise and growth of these marketplaces. We've gone from 250 million GMV just over 2.5 years ago to trending to over 3 billion in GMV this year in 2020. We've got over 30,000 sellers selling on the Miracle Marketplace, and we're getting some really nice plaudits from the likes of Gartner, Forrester, and others. We've got some really cool investors, 83 North, who've helped facilitate today's conversation with Orly and Vintage, which we're very grateful for, and also Bain Capital, Boston based in the US. But we're seeing some really nice kind of global growth right now. What's driving that growth is really multi-brand retailers, mono-brand retailers who are now moving very quickly into this space. I mentioned the manufacturers. We're seeing some really nice trends within the HoReCa space today, for example. And we've also got some burgeoning procurement use cases that are also helping kind of fuel our growth. So we are in the midst of what we describe as a marketplace revolution. It's a very exciting time for us. Our vision is to ensure that we give you not just the technology, but also the expertise in terms of our teams who work with you to ensure that you have a successful launch of a marketplace, but also that you scale that marketplace accordingly. So happy to take any questions. Orly, anything on your side?
Thank you, Brandon. This was very, very interesting. Let me ask you, how does an implementation look like? It's
the closest you can come to a civil war, I would describe it as, Orly, simply because of it is a business model transformation, right? I think it's a big deal for any organization to start selling third-party products and services on their website, right? So it does require executive sponsorship. In terms of a typical implementation, it should be a very well clearly defined strategy within the organization with maximum visibility, because a marketplace is going to touch on a lot of different areas within an organization. It's going to disrupt the standard e-commerce flow today. It's going to interact with your ERP in terms of taking all the finance metrics from your marketplace model into your ERP. It's going to interact with payment gateways in terms of how you accept cash and put money into escrow accounts, particularly on B2B type transactions. And it's also going to interact with your marketing, R&D, and innovation teams, because a lot of the transactions that you'll see online, they will be fantastic learning opportunities for your team to think about, do we consider launching new products in the space, or do we continue to onboard sellers where maybe we can look at the profitability and like operating metrics of the marketplace to fuel that particular category. So it does require a nice combination of the business and technical, and make sure that they're fully aligned with the appropriate exec sponsorship with any particular implementation.
You guys provide the end-to-end, the A to Z platform for onboarding everything and suppliers and so on.
Absolutely, absolutely. The easiest way to think about a marketplace is twin track. You have the operator side, and then you also have the seller onboarding side. And we've got to make sure that both experiences are a world-class experience. So like I mentioned earlier, we do provide the technology, but we also provide the business support alongside to ensure that that you're up to date with, well, what are the right monetization models behind a marketplace? When you think about how you monetize a marketplace, people automatically think of a traditional margin-based charge, but you can also have subscription-based charges for suppliers to interact or to onboard onto your marketplace. You can have marketing and advertising services that you may well monetize via your marketplace strategy. And you can even use your own assets and fulfillment model and warehouses as monetization opportunities within that marketplace model. And as we continue to grow and learn, we feed all of that data into our customer success team and ensure that our customers are working with the latest and greatest learnings in terms of what's happening with global marketplaces today.
Fantastic. Brendan, thank you so much. That's what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned the complete consumer experience. And so again, everybody remember, it's B2C and B2B as well. And if you want an introduction to Brandon and to Miracle, please feel free to email me and I would love to introduce. Thank you, Brandon.
Sorry.
Perfect. And we are moving to Fabric. And we have Ryan here, and Ryan is joining us from Seattle, from Washington. Hi, Ryan, feel free to share your screen. Hi.
And I should be sharing. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it now. Fantastic.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ryan. I'm co-founder of Fabric. Fabric is the world's most modular and scalable e-commerce platform built for growth. We're fairly new, and so I'll talk a little bit about the company and why we started it, and then I'll share a bit about who we are and what we do. So Fabric was founded by myself and a couple of co-founders who have deep operating experience in e-commerce. We've actually been in your shoes on the operating side. So I was at 3 different companies that did over $10 billion in e-commerce revenue. And my last role was at Staples, where I ran a $500 million mobile P&L. So we've seen pretty much every use case in the market. We've talked to every vendor on this call and every vendor in the industry, and we've been in your shoes. And fundamentally what we saw was some challenges in the market that we saw no one else stepping up to solve. And that's why we started Fabric. So a little bit about us. We founded the business in 2018. We do about $600 million in GMV through our platform already. And like I mentioned, we've saw and built and tried every use case in the e-com market. A little bit about who we focus on. So Fabric is built for high growth and scaled businesses. And we focus on 4 key verticals. The first is multi-channel retail. So if you have retail stores, online, wholesale, marketplace, we're built for that level and size of challenges and complexity. We also support new use cases with CPG and direct-to-consumer brands. So how do you reach your customer directly as opposed to going through those third-party retailers? We support those companies. Through all of our operating experience at eBay and Staples, Staples had a $12 billion B2B e-commerce business. We've fundamentally built B2B use cases into our platform. And then finally and foremost, we believe that we built the best e-com platform for developers. So as you think about your business, and if you don't fit in with one of the first 3, you do have a commerce capability within your organization. And so we've started from first principles to build a commerce platform that's modular that can fit your use cases. So we all know on this call that the way people are buying, the way people are procuring, the way people are shopping is changing. Obviously, with the recent events of COVID-19, digital commerce across all channels has really came to the forefront as opposed to offline commerce. And so how do you orchestrate that and how do you build that into your unique brand experience is really what we've thought about. So the reason why we started the company and why we believe that there's a huge opportunity is because today the commerce platform that you have is holding you back. The software industry built these commerce platforms back in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, before mobile, before machine learning, before the cloud even. And so what's the challenge we see is all of the innovation in the market. How do you take hold of that innovation? And I would challenge you to go back and talk to your CIO or CTO. And what you'll hear from them is everything is a project. It's not their fault, it's the software's fault, because fundamentally it hasn't changed in the last 15 years. So if you want to integrate a new best of breed capability, you have to get on the roadmap, and it takes multiple months and multiple years. Now it gets even worse if you're thinking about launching a new e-commerce experience, or if you're looking at migrating. Today, the migration path, if you're on a legacy platform and you try to go to another platform, is a multi-year, multi-million-dollar effort where you essentially have to bet your job. And we think that's broken. So that's why we built Fabric. Now let me share a little bit about what we built and how we work. So Fabric is actually 3 core platforms. The first core platform is in the middle, and we call it the headless commerce platform. So it's a series of APIs that allow you to orchestrate your commerce across channels. So you get a single view of customer, a single view of inventory, a single view of product information, pricing, payment, orders, and so on. So we support the entire life cycle of that customer. Now, those are just a series of APIs, and you'll hear them called headless APIs. And what that does is allow you to orchestrate. It also allows you to bring in best-of-breed providers. So Fabric really becomes that core orchestration layer. And we we're pre-integrated with many of the leading companies here today and several other domains. So for example, if you have a large, complex global business and you have tax requirements across the world, we've already pre-integrated with the best tax providers in the world who can support your requirements. So instead of having that to be a project, an integration project, you literally click a button and you choose your vendor. We've also built that platform completely serverless. And what that means is we can scale to high scale traffic. So as you think about, especially in the retail industry, Q4s and Black Fridays and peaks that you may have, those are not a problem with our platform. Everything is managed as a SaaS, and so you don't even have to think about your infrastructure. Now, once we built that orchestration layer, then we built another part of it. We actually built the head or the storefront. So the way the storefront works with Fabric is it's a completely modular solution because you want to tell your own brand story. You want to have your own brand. So having a theme or out of the box builder that you have to kind of constrain your brand to is something that we wanted to do away with. So we built a headless CMS that allows your merchants and marketers to create content, create campaigns, schedule them for the future, and be able to do that digital workflow where they can manage your homepage, landing pages, and essentially the entire site experience. This CMS and storefront is already pre-integrated with our headless commerce platform. So out of the box, you can get up and running very quickly. The final part of our platform that we built was the application layer. We call it Copilot. It's the tools that your team needs to use to run the business across your channels. So we have the CMS for the marketing team for campaigns and content. We built an enterprise-grade PIM to manage your catalog. And we built that in a unique way where if you're selling across different channels, wholesale, direct, marketplaces, you're able to manage that catalog and the content and be able to create the right experiences on each one of those channels. So you get the best SEO, you get the best conversion on each of your channels. We have a product called Offers, pricing and promotion engine. So you're able to set the life cycle of your entire price of your products and then promote it in any way you can think of, on site or on any of your channels. We also have an OMS, or an order management system. This is a multi-channel order management system to manage the complexity of your logistics and supply chain. So if you're a retailer who does drop ship, who does marketplace, who has multiple locations, if you're doing BOPUS or buy online, pick up in store, curbside pickup, all of those kind of nodes and modules of the order and where they can flow are managed in our OMS. We have a couple of more products. We have segmentation, which is our view of how to begin to personalize each of the different parts of the experience. So you're able to get a rich customer profile of first-party and third-party data. You're then able to segment over the top of it. So you can imagine going to your site, and for first-time users, you want to tell your beautiful brand story, and you want to talk about the entire breadth of your products and selection. Versus a repeat user, you want to have a different strategy when they come to your site, and you want to be able to tell them about what's new and what's unique for them, and give them unique offers and pricing that they may need. And then finally, we have our final product, which is Insights. That's from all of our operating experience at scale, understanding what business levers you have to be able to run your business, and very simple reporting where you can view it. Now that's a lot. The point of Fabric is we built everything extremely modular. So as you think about your business today and where your scale is at, you probably have some things that are working. So if you're really good at catalog management and the ability to manage and get products ready for sale and live in hours, then you can keep that investment of your PIM, and we can connect and give you a world-class front-end experience where you have sub 2-second shopping experiences, telling your beautiful brand story, with all the content and commerce coming together. If you want a third-party best-of-breed capability, we've already integrated with them. Literally a click of a button to bring in a lot of the capabilities that you see today and so forth. I just want to give you guys a couple of examples of how Fabric works and some of the rich use cases and rich capabilities that we've offered. So as one simple example, your core of your business is your product selection, right? And it may be your first-party product selection, or if you're working with Miracle, it could be third-party marketplace products. Now, how do you enrich and build that and get that ready for sale on all of your channels? What you need is a commerce-focused product information master. Today, that's typically done offline with spreadsheets. It's usually in several different systems where your merchants, your marketers, your creative team is kludging together this. And what it means is you can't get a product live to site very quickly. With Fabric, we give you all of that capability to run and grow your product catalog very quickly. Another key part of the platform is the storefront. How do you tell your core brand story and do it in a way without any of the constraints of today's small business solutions or legacy software? So you should design your site to be within your brand, and you should be able to tell that story. We give you all the tools to do that, where your site can be fast, very mobile responsive, and have all of the SEO and ADA attributes that you need to be world-class. And we allow the developers a very simple way to be able to create the components that go into your website. So if you have a unique need that's not already part of the Fabric platform, our developer tools make it super simple for any developer who knows JavaScript to be able to create a new component. Another one is pricing and promotions. So as you think about how do I build sustainable margin and sustainable growth in my business, you need to be really smart in how you do pricing and promotions. And we've learned this from our operating experience at scale. We want to level the playing field with the large providers like Amazon and Alibaba. So Amazon obviously has a lot of depth in how they're doing pricing and promotions, and they're changing in real time based on customer elasticity. We provide those type of capabilities to your brand so you can start to level the playing field. And we do it through applications as opposed to software that your developers have to continue to build on. And that's one of the biggest challenges is today your legacy platforms require a lot of maintenance, a lot of code, and a lot of cost and expense to do that. And we wanted to simplify this growth. So one of the core attributes of the Fabric platform is it's very fast to deploy. So if you're a large company or a scaling business, we can get your new experience up and running in tandem to your current platform. So whatever complexity you have today, Fabric can come in and modularly fit within that ecosystem and then evolve over time. And we did this based on our operating experience. When we were at Staples, we were running some legacy platforms. In fact, we had 5 legacy platforms that we were built over the top of. And we built a world-class mobile experience in a matter of weeks. And that's really what set our architecture up. So we want to remove all the risk of transitioning. We don't believe in re-platforming. We believe in an evolutionary model to get you value quickly and launch in weeks. The tools, like I mentioned, are tools that your team will love. Today, they're working in spreadsheets. They're working in some painful legacy platforms. And what we wanted to do is give all the tools that we wish we had and give your customers a world-class experience at scale. And then finally, we check the boxes with the CIO and CTO. It's very important that security, privacy, compliance, and maintainability are all parts of our solution. So we actually launched the platform in a single VPC. It's ran completely secured in your own environment. And so you don't share data, you don't share infrastructure, and it's highly scalable. So we never see a constraint in terms of the architecture and how we build. We've also built this to be very developer friendly. So as your developers, if you're just starting out and you have a few developers, or if you have a scaled development team, they'll love the tools that we have. And what you'll see is a quicker iteration. So today on those legacy platforms, if you make a change, usually you'll have a release once a week or even once a month in many cases, because so many things can break. With our tools and the way they're built modularly, you'll see your developers quickly increase the speed and velocity of the ability to deliver, which means that they'll unblock your business team to start to do a lot of experimentation. And so you should be rapidly changing your experiences based on the market needs and the customer needs. One of our customers, ABC Carpet and Home, they're a storied brand out of New York City. abchome.com, you can go and check, runs on Fabric's platform. They are a design inspiration for Anthropologie Home, Crate and Barrel, West Elm. And they've historically been an offline business, $120 million out of one retail store in New York. And they came to Fabric because they wanted to launch their direct-to-consumer brand nationwide. And we did that in a matter of 8 weeks, launched the platform with a completely designed experience that meets their brand needs. And they've seen a tremendous amount of growth just over the past several weeks as we've launched our platform. A couple of other customers, Eddie Bauer was running on a legacy platform. We re-platformed them in 10 weeks, and they have all the great attributes, about our platform. They don't go down, world-class experience very fast. So just to summarize real quickly how we compare. So the legacy platforms that you see today are just painful to integrate with, expensive, require hosting and maintenance, and really limit your growth because everything is done as a new development. We came in Fabric and rethought everything in a very modular way. So we can begin to build out your experiences and build out your platform so you can get the best of breed of all the providers that are on the call today and many more in the market. Again, just a couple of attributes that I want to recover. For developers, this is a world-class platform, so developers can continue to build and extend on top of our platform. And your merchants and marketers and the folks who are working day to day to grow your business now have the same tools and same capabilities as the large marketplace providers. So we do this all at scale, and we do this very quickly. So at Fabric, we can get your new site up and running with very little risk, built over the top of our platform, integrated with all of your capabilities today, and then we evolve out of it. So very simple to get started and to grow.
Ryan, thank you so much. We're a little over time, but I would love for you to share maybe just about the size of the company and maybe investors, how many employees you have.
Sure. So the company is founded out of Seattle. We're based out of Seattle, and we have teams in Vancouver, Canada, and Bangalore. So we have 55 folks across the organization supporting the team and the e-commerce growth. We're growing rapidly. We have investors. Our two key investors are Expa. That's a fund founded by Garrett Camp, the co-founder of Uber, and then Redpoint. We'll double our headcount this year as we continue to scale and grow. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of inbound demand based on, our new capabilities that just didn't exist a couple of years ago. So we think it's the right time and the right kind of organization to help companies simplify their growth.
Thank you so much, Ryan. We really appreciate the time you took to come and present here. If anybody wants an introduction to Ryan from Fabric, I would love to present.
Thank you.
And we actually have another Ryan, this time from New York, Ryan Urban, the CEO of Bounce X. And Ryan,
hey.
Your slides.
All right, screen on. This is a cool format. By the way, this is the first time I'm company Bounce X. We're about 400 people. We're kind of been working on this for 10 years and market about 8 years. Most of our people are in New York, and we're in London as well. Office in the World Trade Center is amazing. This is the first time I'm seeing Fabric Commerce, and usually I kind of see almost everything. So that's really impressive. There hasn't been a new kind of e-commerce platform, especially a headless one, come out in such a long time. Everything in enterprise is so antiquated. So good job, Ryan. Wish you really well. We should talk after. We might be the front end portion of headless too. So that's really cool. All right, we have 10 minutes, and I speak fast. I'll try to speak clear as well. And I'll back up a little bit because I'm really effing loud too. And I'll pull up some slides, but I'm just going to speak, and I'm going to keep it kind of really simple. So my company's name has upbranded to Wonderkin, and that's going to be official soon. So I'm going to go share my screen. I'm going to show you that. Ooh, let's get this. Bam. All right. Cool. I'll go to present mode. And what I'll do is I'll present a couple slides, and I'll kind of go back and unshare, and then I'll reshare again. And you all see my screen. You see Wonderkin, formerly BounceX. Yes. Cool.
Yes, we can see now.
All right. Awesome. So, yeah, I'm the founder CEO, and I said before, we're at 400 people. Our company's product mix has evolved over time, but we've always kind of focused on I'll give you that minute. We've always focused on two things, and two things never changed. Some people who were speaking before, there was a lot of former marketers who started some martech companies. Same thing for us. I used to run marketing at Bonobos, a few other places. One of my co-founders ran marketing at Bloomberg, and we have people from publishing world. So a diverse group of us got together of kind of these New York City marketers, and we started BounceX. And the two things we always focused on were two main things that we knew were true then, and we knew were going to be more true 5 years from then, and more true 10 years from then. So it's like we're marketers, we were CMOs or VP of e-commerce, or in some cases CEOs of e-commerce companies. And there's two things that are always going to be true. So number one is got to grow and revenue growth, whether their company's doing a few $1 billion a year in revenue or 10 million. Growth is the first number in your head. So anything that we roll out has to drive growth and clear revenue growth. And particularly like a lot of top line revenue growth at the beginning. And another thing is also true is everyone wants to improve their brand and customer experience. So we said, okay, well, any product or service we release has to improve customer experience. And the way we measure that is clear improvement in top line revenue. So specifically focusing on that. And I'm not talking about, oh, here's a segment that will improve that to call rate by 10%. No, overall business revenue. So we set out a goal. It's like, how do we improve overall business revenue by 25%, even if it's like $1 billion company? And I think after the first 6 years, we got to 10%, which is pretty good. I don't know, everyone's on the line here, but I can imagine you're from big companies, and to move the needle 1% or 2% is pretty profound. We got up to 10%. The only real companies that can really improve a business by in the digital landscape by 15, 20, 25% of Google and Facebook, that's really it. That's the only thing you really see. So that was our goal, is to kind of pass that. So I'm going to talk about two simple things today. I'm going to talk about where our product mix is. But first, post-COVID, email's up 30%. So some people talk about problem solution. Oh, there's this problem, and what does it solve for? We don't think that way. We think about maximizing opportunities, and our original products that we got to market in 2012 around collecting emails and collecting permissions in a much more thoughtful and smarter way. So much better technology. Back then, the only thing that was available was like a really crappy pop-up and some input fields on websites, and that's how people collect permission. We're like, oh, well, I think we can build much better technology, especially that's built for mobile web. That's much faster, much more thoughtful. Figure out the right timing when to ask someone for an email. So instead of saying, hey, let's ask them when they get to the website, why don't you wait till they engage you, when they're engaging, figuring the right timing, and ask them in a thoughtful way, and build a team around that. But email's up 30% post-COVID. This is a new macro change in behavior. So what does this mean? 70% of emails are Gmails. Gmail does an amazing job with its promotions tab, and that promotions tab has basically become the new shopping mall. And there's this huge macro change behavior we're seeing, and email rates have actually been going up the last 5 years. If you asked me 5 years ago, would email increase or decline? I would have said certainly email would decline, and I would have expected something like a WeChat to formulate in the U.S., where you have your social network, your Venmo, and where you follow brands in one place. That never transpired in the U.S. WhatsApp got acquired, and Facebook wasn't that ambitious with it, and iMessage kind of limited it to Apple's platform. And Instagram, the founders left, and they never stepped up in building something more profound like a WeChat. So the U.S. is actually pretty far behind. But emails kept increasing. Now, what's happened in COVID? People were working on were on their couches on the weekends, and then on the weekdays they bring their laptop to the dining room table. And when everyone's in these Zoom meetings, at regular work, people kind of check email, and actually for e-commerce, anyone in e-commerce on the line, you know that Monday through Thursday is your highest time, but also your best converting times. And typically Monday lunch, that 11 to 1 p.m. time is also your highest converting times and your highest volume times. That's when people typically at work. So when people are at work, they're in the mentality of buy stuff for some reason. They're in this other mode. When people are on weekends, they're in less shopping mode. But now when people are at work, they're at the dining room table. So when they're normally in a meeting, it can't be on a laptop, not on a phone. You're paying attention. Now you're on a laptop. You're on mute on the Zoom. So what people are doing is keeping their personal inbox open and going through our promotions tab, and Gmail promotes 1 million times a day. So open rates aren't up like 3%, they're up 30%. Unsubscribe rates are down. So, and more people are clicking through and buying from email than ever before. And some macro change. And actually Monday the open rate's up 50%, and that's insane. So yeah, Gmail's kind of become the new shopping mall. Now, here's a takeaway. So I want to provide some value here. Here's something, whether you're a publisher, and we work with Fortune 500. We tend to only work with very large companies. We usually have 20 people on our company supporting account. I'll talk about our primary technology in a moment. But our original technology was really around just building the only enterprise class technology and capturing permissions, whether it's email or SMS, whatever it might be, and we're the best in the world at that. Here's a KPI we've encouraged all of our clients and future clients to take on, which is permission rate. So permission rate is your permission per 1,000 visitors. And permissions are going to be, typically it's going to be emails and phone numbers, and the right for a controlled marketing channel. And those are the only two ones that are relevant in the US. WeChat would be relevant in China. But how many emails and SMS opt-ins you're getting per 1,000 visitors and tracking that. And we benchmark that. And then what are the ways to improve those things? So that's something that our company is exceptionally good at. Typically, if someone has a permission rate of say 5 per 1,000 visitors, and you'll see how remarkably bad you are at this. And the best way, and getting an email permission and being able to follow up and tell your story, or just follow up and now I'll get people back to your articles or sell products to one-to-one marketing. Almost every brand is under 5 per 1,000. People might think, oh, I'm probably getting a few percent or 5%. No. They're usually under 5 per 1,000 when they start working with us. And we work with Nike, Comcast, giant companies. They really do a really bad job. And our goal is how do we get them to somewhere in the 50 to 100 per 1,000 range. We generally accomplish that every single time. It's very rare we don't 10 or 11x someone's permission rate. So, but first, if you want to improve a metric, you should track that. Now, let me go off screen share for a second here. Yeah, you know what? I'll continue. I'll leave it at the end. Number 2 problem. So some people came on to talk about personalization, and that's kind of great, right? And you know who does a great job of personalization is Facebook. They do an amazing job with the newsfeed. I love Google's AI News. I probably spend more time in that. Instagram. Everyone. If we all logged in Facebook, we all have different experiences. No, we all just go on our Facebook. Everyone's logged in. Our Instagrams will all be pretty different as well. Actually, our Amazons will be very similar, probably 95% similar. But any e-commerce site or any publisher, any travel site, any financial brand, any big manufacturer, regardless of what personalization technology you use, people are going to have like 95 to 99% similar experiences. And whether you upload like 20 things into some personalization engine, it's going to be very, very similar experience. The main issue, if you want to improve that, right? If you want to really improve that, you have to be like Facebook and Instagram or LinkedIn, right? What do they have? They have near 100% authentication. Almost 100% of people on their sites are authenticated. But on, say, Walmart, right? Walmart has probably 10% of people on their website authenticated. And say, Booking.com, maybe 5% or less. So, and even eBay is probably sub 30%. So the largest brands in the world typically have less than 10% of people authenticated on their sites. And no one wants to create accounts. Creating accounts is a pain in the ass. No one wants to do it anymore. Because when, say, you're making a purchase, you can just use your Chrome autofill settings or use a PayPal as a payment type. You don't need to create an account to get your order history or to save your credit card. There's no benefit to doing so no one really does it anymore. On publishers, almost no one logs in. No one registers. If you're like Amex or client, like unless you're like in the banking section, if you're in the section to sign up for credit cards, no one's logging over there. So and the opportunity is for large Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. It's majority of their traffic is actually their customers. They actually have permission to market them. It's usually over email or contact by phone, direct mail, but email say. But they can only recognize 5% of those people. So that was a big opportunity for us to go maximize. So even something like an e-commerce website, 85% of people abandon cart on mobile. That's the average, and only a few percent of people logged in. So those kind of one-to-one cart abandonment emails, a very simple one-to-one message that works so well, it works 50 times better than a normal email. People only sending out to 5 or 10% of their traffic when they should be sending it to like 50 or 60% of their traffic, and that's just one basic one-to-one message tag. So yeah, as I said before, 75% of those are actual customers, right? So how do we close the gap and create better experiences? If you want to kind of use personalization technologies, you want to do different things. If you want to send way more one-to-one messages, which way more one-to-one emails, you need to be able to recognize everyone on your website. So let me now end my screen share here. Hold on. Oh, and yeah, I'll take it back here. If you're gonna ask me questions, you can just, I'm the CEO, but just email me, Ryan@bouncex.com. Write that down. You go to BounceX. We'll be converting over to Wonderkin shortly. But this is going to be how to reach me, and hopefully we do a Q&A here. And I'll just get back on the screen. I'm using an extra little monitor here. Let me close that here.
That's perfect. I can.
Cool. Great. Cool. So,
Ryan, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And for the sake of time, and we don't have any questions, so for the sake of time, I'll move to Vikas. Ryan, thank you. If anybody wants an introduction.
Yeah. Well, let me say one more thing for the last 10 seconds. So we pioneered the concept of identity resolution technology. Simply, we can recognize between 30 and 60% of using the website. We can create that logged in experience for your customers that are not logged in a super consumer friendly way. So that's what we primarily do. And for the people that you don't have permission, we're really good at being very thoughtful about how you go about getting permission for that user with our technology. So that's what we do. We focus on those two simple things.
Beautiful. Ryan, thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time to join us. And we have Vikas from Customer. Please feel free to share your slides.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Orly, can you see my slides?
We can see a white screen. Maybe you can unshare and share again. Yes, we can see it now.
So I know I only have 5 minutes. So
no, you have 10 minutes. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm sure a lot of people have to drop off, as do I. I've got a hard stop at 1. So I will be really concise, and so I appreciate all my peers with just tremendous amount of learnings in this period and the session. So I want to thank Orly and Vintage for pulling this together. You know, I guess where I'll start is where everybody else has finished, which is, a lot of focus on the customer acquisition, top line growth. How do we add more? I think all of us who are operators know that acquiring customer is the beginning of the journey. And what happens is we know two things. One, that cost of acquisition is so high that if we don't either have an ability to resell that same customer, so sell them additional goods in follow-on sessions, or maximize that subscription. If you're in a subscription model, you're going to be challenged. And that's kind of the impetus for customer. We saw so much innovation on the marketing customer acquisition side of the house, but a lot of brands were still challenged with the customer service to those customers, right? So you spend so much to acquire them, and then what happens? So the customer developed a CRM for customer service that's used by the likes of traditional brands like Abercrombie and Fitch, large consumer brands like Procter & Gamble as they do their new D2C initiatives, and then ultimately the next generation of D2C retailers who are disrupting their industries, whether it be Untuckit, Third Love, BoxyCharm, Glossier, etc. And a lot of these folks were looking for a new way to basically end the Frankenstein that had enveloped their customer contact center, right? Over the years, the likes of Salesforce, Zendesk, Oracle, and then all the telephony vendors and the channel vendors like LivePerson, trying to pull that all became very complex. So anytime there was a new business initiative, I want to roll out a new channel, I want to target a new customer base, I want to roll out in a new geography, it became more and more cumbersome for the business to be nimble. And they were basically handcuffed by the technology investments that they'd made over a period of 10, 20 years. For us, we look at that, kind of what I would say the antiquated technologies, limiting both your customers and your customer service agents, whether you call them stylists or ninjas or shopping guides, right? Because with those old technologies, there's a limitation in terms of the amount of data that's available to your customer service professionals, how much automation you can layer on in terms of the ability to eliminate your ticket volume, regardless of channel, not just quote unquote chatbots. How do you have truly omni-channel conversations with your customers? So if you think about your journey, if you're on a website and you start sending somebody an email and then you go offline and you send the same brand an SMS, how does that end up being one continuous conversation as opposed to how most brands are operating today, where each one of those interactions from your customer results in a different ticket that gets routed to a different agent that then results in potentially a different resolution? How do you understand the sentiment of your customers then when they reach out to you with an inquiry, right? So do you understand the temperature of that customer, the urgency of their request? And then ultimately, yes, you're a retail business, but the models now are shifting. Whether you are a straight direct to retail business, whether you're a B2B2C, whether you are a subscription business, all of these have to be able to be tailored in your customer service environment. The last thing that I'll talk about, and obviously please feel free to reach out to me offline through Orly or at vicus@customerwithak.com, is how do you put in the ingredients for a successful customer service program in 2020? Number one is, how do you eliminate those conversations that either your customers don't want to have with you, they prefer to self-service, or that you don't want to put your valuable agent resources against, right? So we call that elimination of tickets. Some people use the term deflection, but how do you use AI to actually navigate those conversations with those customers regardless of channel? So it can be as simple as a knowledge-based deflection in terms of serving up articles or content, or actually using the bots to actually look at data and what the customer is trying to do and allow them to do it as opposed to having to deal with an agent. So that's part of the customer platform. The second is, look, there is that ability where a lot of conversations are not going to be able to be handled by either the customer or the bot. So how do we then take an understanding of who that customer is and route that conversation to the right agent to be handled at the right time? So we look at things like the sentiment of the content which the customer is put in through natural language processing. We look at the data that we have about the customer. So for example, is this about an order that has been fulfilled, or is this about an order that's pending? We even look at the language that the customer has typed in, right? Maybe you have a Chinese support team versus a French support team. So regardless of where that person is located, because we're all multilingual and we all reside in homogenous places. So I can be sitting in the US, but speaking in French. And if I type my request in French, whether it be chat, email, a WhatsApp message, how do I take that and route it to the right agent who speaks my language? And ultimately, how do we give agents tools by which they can communicate with your customers? So a true omni-channel view of all these customer interactions, regardless of chat, WhatsApp, SMS, Facebook Messenger, email, voice, in one platform with the data about your customer, and then using AI to suggest actions and behaviors to your agents so that they can not only deliver amazing experiences, but in as fast a time as possible. Ultimately, we find that the foundations to do all these three steps are not available in most people's technology investments today, right? It goes back to that Frankenstein challenge that I talked about earlier. So these are the four kind of primary things. And obviously, if we had more time, I would have gone into all of these in a bit more detail. But happy to take the conversation offline as I know we're up against the clock here. So thank you, everybody, and I'll kick it back to you, Orly.
Because thank you so much. And what we'll do is we'll take the presentations and if you're okay with it, distribute to our participants so they can read a little bit more about it and ask for introductions.
That'd be great.
So wanted to thank everybody for your time. Thank you, all the startups that took from your precious time. I know you guys are all busy. Thank you for all the corporates that came. You guys are also so very busy. Again, we love introducing. That's one of our KPIs. We would love to introduce you to the startups. If anybody wants, feel free to email me or email them directly. We love facilitating that and creating business for startups. And thank you again, and keep healthy and safe.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.